Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another thrilling episode of the SmashBros AMA, brought to you by the Daily Dot. I, of course, am your host, Ian Double John Barker, and with me, as always, is none other than Jacob Braille Wolf. Jacob, how are you this evening?
Doing well.
Excellent.
I wish I had a panda hat for this AMA, but it's okay.
It's okay. Well, we'll just email the CEO, and I'm sure he can get you one. Just
Alan, if you are watching, panda hat.
Send it Prime now so it shows up in the next hour, because we will be here for the next hour with none other than Panda Global's Wobbles. Now, if you haven't heard of him before, you've probably heard of him indirectly. This is a man so influential in the world of the Ice Climbers meta that he has a rather controversial move named after him. Robert, can you hear us?
Yes.
Excellent.
Loud and clear. Especially the word controversial.
Well, is there a better word for wobbling, I guess?
Hated?
See, controversial suggests
cheese?
that there's people on both sides of the issue. So I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
There are people on both sides of the issue. Mm-hmm. By and large, I don't think there's any dispute on how boring it is. Pretty boring.
Yeah, and yet I've been in front of a couple Smash crowds who witnessed wobbling and actually got really excited about it. It's one of those things that's part of the game.
Wait,
now, guys,
so on the one side of the issue, is it like Nintendo and Chudat and Wobbles, and then the rest of the world on the other side of the issue? Like
the Ice Climbers mains are firmly in favor. No bias whatsoever. Now, guys, if you aren't familiar with the format, every Monday we bring a new guest to the SmashBros AMA. The mods very graciously put up a thread for us. You submit your comments, upvote your favorites, downvote your least favorites, and we ask the questions to our welcome and handsome guests every Wednesday or Thursday, whenever we need them on the show. Wobbles, are you ready for the best that the community has to offer?
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's go.
He was actually, I will tell the crowd, he was actually cheating. He actually asked what the questions were before. So this is a man who is prepared to take on the world. Let's go ahead and kick things off with our first question, which comes from the Sleepyhead. The Sleepyhead wants to know, why don't you stream anymore, man?
Well, I'm a lot more busy nowadays, actually. This whole Panda thing. I wasn't expecting to travel so much. My school semester is also started up, and it's nicely set up, so I would have a ton of time to stream, but apparently I have to go somewhere every weekend and do crazy video game things. So I want to, but it's like one week I go one place, another week I go somewhere else, I come home, do makeup work, and then that weekend I mostly just want to collapse. So I would like to stream, and I hope to, because I think I have a couple free weekends coming up in the relatively near future, but a lot more that are actually really busy. So, yeah, that's pretty much my John.
You get to a certain point in your life where the infinite energy of being a teenager sort of runs out, and you're like, you know what sounds great right now? Sleep.
And then you have like the one old guard dude in Mango who just like streams all the damn time. That's all he does.
Yeah.
He's the only one of the old guard that does that.
It's straight up. It's his living, and he loves it too. Like, he loves to yell at his chat and play random video games and play Counter-Strike and play Smash just on stream for the nation. So.
Yeah, we have a Twitch talk show on Fridays, and talking to a lot of those people, it actually gives them energy to do stream, and they are a special kind of breed, because I have never walked away from a streaming session and trying to make City Skylines entertaining and not felt completely exhausted from talking and concentrating at the same time. You talked about how your semester keeps you pretty busy. What sort of course load are you dealing with right now? What's your degree in?
I am taking classes to get a cognitive science degree. So this semester I have linear algebra, programming, and 2 neuroscience classes.
So some light learning on the side while you smash, yeah.
I spend a lot of time doing math nowadays. I was an English major in a former life, and I got tired of that. And now I'm trying to become a more sciencey person. It requires bending my brain in interesting ways that, it wasn't really stretched for a long time ago. So, yeah, it's hard, but it's also fun. I like learning.
Well, there you go. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of it with those particular classes.
Hey, the more math you can do, the better frame data you can calculate. Let's be real here.
There you go. There it is.
wobble them for days.
Calculus and matrices come into it. I think +3 on block is the most complicated thing people do. But
is +3 on block the E equals MC square of the melee world?
It's just as important. It's just as important.
Nah, +3 on block stinks because you still get shined out of shield because all your other moves take too long.
Fox is a hell of a character, yeah.
In my commentary thread for feedback, people were like, "You complain about Fox too much." I'm like, "Or not enough."
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tone it down.
As the guy sitting behind the controller,
the first opportunity I had, I went and did it. So. Shoutouts to you, my friend.
As the guy sitting behind the controller, you're probably more qualified than anybody. Because while the rest of us are complaining about, not being able to solve Fox, you're a guy who has dedicated a lot of his career to beating foxes. So I think you have every right to complain about Fox in a public forum.
Yeah, you're either good at beating Fox or you're bad at melee. That's kind of the rule.
Or you just play Fox.
I like that. Or yeah, you can't beat him play him.
You're still playing a lot of Dittos.
Dittos, yeah.
So...
Fair point.
But get good.
Well, moving on to our next question, we've got Real Slim Brady, who wrote us one of several novels in the comments section this week. Real Slim Brady wants to know, among top players, it seems like you suffer most from consistency problems. Do you attribute this to your character, your playstyle, or mentality problems? What are you working on to fix your consistency issues?
Okay, so character is a tiny part of it, but not a major part of it, I don't think. They don't dominate as hard because they generally don't have like big advantages in neutral game. They have a big punish game, but they can get shut out. So that means even if you're consistently winning, it could just be a 1-stock here, 2-stock here. A really good performance might involve a lot of 3-1s because you're still getting taken to levels that are just really hard to deal with. But that's not enough of a John for me. What was the other one? Mentality. Yes? Kind of. I still learn a lot about my mindset and ways that it impacts me. But a big part of it is, like, having a good mentality means accepting winning and losing. Like, you look at Daigo, right? Mr. Zen fighting game master, who's renowned for his mental and emotional composure when he plays, and he loses. You know the song "Be a Man" by in Mulan?
Of course.
Yeah. You know the one line where he goes, "Once you find your center, you're sure to win." Mm-hmm. You know that line?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh
what
yeah.
happens when two people fighting each other find their centers? Is the movie over? Like, you can have the greatest mindset in the world and get outplayed and you lose, and a big part of it is just dealing with that. So mindset isn't always the thing about consistency. I've been exploring a lot of concepts right now to try and figure out why I seem to struggle, especially on the technical front. But, nothing super fruitful. If I had, I think I'd be rich. If I had technical consistency, I would be making some money, but I also do really try and push my character and use skills that I haven't fully mastered, and in tournament pressure that gets you killed, so I'm just trying to accept that as an inevitable part of my growth and also use that as a John for why I'm not rich. So, there you go.
You're really touching on something there because Smash, unlike a lot of other esports, has had a long time to develop. And so a lot of the people who are at the top of their game right now are extremely polished. And is that something people don't realize, is that once everybody has reached their peak, things get crowded pretty quickly?
Yeah, this game has, in the past, been extremely tiered in terms of skill. So... you beat all your friends, so you go to a tourney and you get 4-stocked by the guy who gets 4-stocked by the guy who gets 4-stocked by the guy who makes it out of pools and goes 0-2, and so on. Mm-hmm. And there was a time when I could just keep getting top 10 at every major, and I did, basically. Even ones that I felt I did badly at, because the talent pool was still so tiered that you could just predict brackets. Mm-hmm. You'd pretty much be right on 98% of the relevant matches, and the only interesting ones were the top 5. And now that's becoming less and less of the case. Every scrub can multi-shine. That's annoying. But really, people's understanding of the game is improving. Their understanding of matchups is improving. More players means more players of different mains being in different regions. So now people are better at, for instance, fighting the ice climbers, which means I can't get away with being lazy or inconsistent. So I drop games and even sets where I air quotes shouldn't, but I mean, if you lose, then you lost. So shouldn't doesn't really play into it. The talent pool is just expanding, and it's also clustering more and more the higher up you get.
How do you think, you're one of the, old guard, I guess the best way to say it, that's been around for a very long time. How do you, work to keep up with some of these newer people like Leffen and everything that are, really coming around and becoming some of the best?
You steal from them. They invent something new and you're like, okay, mine. But they can't go back in time to 2004 when Falcos were still using back throw forward smash all the time. So you've got old school jank. They have youthful exuberance, but you can defeat that by being treacherous. The real answer is you assume you have more to learn. You assume you can improve, and you play always with the intent of doing things better. You don't get complacent. You try and master a new skill. Every time you sit down to play, or you try and perfect an old one, and you just don't give up. Because if you give up, then it is over. So, yeah.
So really, it's all about continuing to push forward despite the ensuing tide of talent that's coming into Smash.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to win. Everyone's trying to beat each other, and just having more people to play with is still good, and if everyone gets that good, then it just means you have more people to show you how you could get better. That's the positive competition outlook that I try to maintain when I'm not busy getting super salty.
That's actually a really cool way of looking at it, I think, is it's not about losing, it's about everybody getting better together.
Yeah, and Don't ask me for my thoughts on that after I've lost, because I'm not going to say something that nice. I'm very competitive, but now, while I'm just chilling and being armchair philosopher about it, yeah, that's how I try to think about it, to be positive about how hard it is to maintain consistency nowadays.
Yeah, I can't imagine a lot of people that would be quite so rosy after losing a big set.
Nope.
I can't imagine.
It's just so funny. I just threw it in chat, but it's like the old Evo 2013 picture of Kid Mango with Wobbles next to him, and then it's the lineup of Ice Shroom, Dr. PP,
it's like
Mewtwo
everybody's
King,
grown up. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
You all have changed so much.
Moving on to our next question, we've got a friend of yours who wants to know how does it feel to be around such a talented, handsome, and all-around great teammate like Esam?
Go away, Esam. Okay, for real. Goofy joke question aside, I actually have really enjoyed being on Panda. I feel like I am really making legitimate friends with the people on the team, people that I never really hung out with before. And when we're hanging out, we walk around, we joke, we don't talk about Smash, we talk about just random experiences, we become friends, and we just have a good time. And I think if there's a game that it's important to have that in on your team, it's going to be Smash, because that's how Smash started, was just being with your friends and having a good time. And every now and then, it would get real, and you'd go to FD or Hyrule Temple, and you'd play for dominance, but for the most part, you were playing to have fun with your friends. So it's really important to me to have that presence, especially when I go to things like Nationals and those guys are there.
Well, aside from Esam, the other big re-signing for Melee, besides yourself, is Plup. Do you get to talk to Plup a lot and, maybe theorycraft with each other as top players?
Not really. We BS a bit, but when we're actually at the tournament, he hunts down his Florida friends. They go around, or we're busy playing and practicing off on our own. I did ask him if he wanted to team with me at Pound, but then I decided that I didn't want to enter at Pound, and he said, okay, teaming with HBox, and off he went. So yeah, I don't blame you. He's a bit better at doubles than I am.
That guy gets around with double partners, though. He's had Mewtwo King, he's had Axe, now he's got Plup. I mean, how many times can the magic be repeated? Then again, at this point, he really just needs some
magic.
What's that?
when you are the magic ingredient, I feel like whatever else you put in the cauldron, you get some neat potion. I don't. That's a terrible analogy, but
No, I like this.
he's really good at doubles, and he makes a lot of different teams work, so he can get away with it if he wants.
He's also like halfway responsible for Plup being sponsored now, because I remember like last year he was like, someone sponsor this kid from Florida, and now he's like a top 10 player, and it's like, okay.
to be fair to his doubles success, he really just needs somebody to hold somebody in place so he can get the rest. I've seen him play with that. I mean, there's more to it than that, but it helps. Yeah.
It's, if they're going to let it happen, man, take those. If you're going to hand it to me, it's mine.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine like Ice Climbers and Jigglypuff doubles and how that works. Like you wobble them into a rest.
Can you
I've played Icy's Jigglypuff doubles. It's kind of interesting. A big part of what makes a team synergy good are the areas that you can control and that you spend your time in. And that's why double Icy's is not good. Not because the Ice Climbers are bad in doubles, they're not as good as in singles, but they're still alright. It's just that they control the same space. So then they're constantly slamming into each other. But then you have something like double Peach can work because one can float while one's on the ground. They can cover each other's weaknesses. Double Fox, one Fox can take the platforms while the other stays grounded and low. Puff plus any character with a solid ground game, she can just be above them. So Icy's Puff works reasonably well, surprisingly.
I was a little bit surprised to see Axe and Hungrybox having success, because like Pikachu is mainly an aerial character as well. So like
true, but they had some pretty well orchestrated grab setups, which was a big part of it. I mean, Pikachu can sort of between the bears and then obviously Pikachu's damage, they can get them to rest percentage pretty quickly, and then Pikachu's grab allows them to just sort of hold Jigglypuff or hold them there, and then Jigglypuff runs up for the rest. Yeah. So it was a winning formula.
They figured out ways to make the team work. They used lots of little disruptions to keep full doubles combos from happening to them, and then they're both characters who can stall out 2v1s a bit. They can both recover without the other one helping them. It means they're both generally pretty stable and reliable, and if H-Box gets a grab, you have a Fox tier up smash.
Yeah.
And Pikachu's not great at getting grabs in singles because his grab range is terrible, but blocking is so good in doubles that it's easier to sneak one in. So.
Well, there you go. The Pokemon are the best team. We have it straight from Wobbles. The Pokepals.
Except for Pichu, poor Pichu. He cries in the corner somewhere.
He just hasn't evolved yet. That's all it is. He hasn't reached.
Like, you don't invite little kids to the grown-up table at Thanksgiving. Pichu sits at the kids' table. Alone.
Can we have Raichu in the next version of Smash, please, Sakurai?
Like quick offshoot, our side story. I think I've actually told the story of the air before. I actually fell for the internet rumor that if you completed Pikachu's break the targets 100 times in a row, you'd unlock Raichu. And after 3 hours, I was gravely disappointed. Moving on to our next question. This one comes from Oddish Guy. Oddish Guy wants to know, speaking of Pokemon, Oddish Guy wants to know, do you see the meta evolving to a point where most Ice Climber matches go to time because poke battles take away openings for huge punishes? If not, how do you see Ice Climbers evolving to be able to initiate rather than waiting for the opponent?
I could probably talk about this whole concept of like poking and taking away space and all that for a long time, but I'm just going to give a much shorter version, which is the reason people lose to Ices is not because they don't camp hard enough. I've said it before and I've said it again. Camping excessively makes people lose to the Ice Climbers. It doesn't help them win. Because if you poke somebody and then you run, and then you poke, and you run, and you poke, and you run, and then you flub your poke, and you get hit, and then you get hit, and then you poke, and you run, and you poke, and you run, have the same amount of damage, but they only had to get it right one time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ice Climber, especially if they've got, wobbling in their arsenal, you will flub something, or you'll get up aired 80 times in a row and decide, hey, the ground's looking kind of good right now, and then you get grabbed. And then suddenly, all that work you just did is gone off of one mistake, but you're not capitalizing nearly hard enough. So then Nana lives forever because you poke and you run, and then if Popo takes damage, Nana becomes more aggressive as Popo's percent goes up. Mm-hmm. So you just end up with a harder opponent the longer you run away. And it only gets more frustrating when you stall out for a minute, then get wobbled, and you're still behind. Learning to beat the ice climbers involves learning how to punish them properly, which most people still don't do to this day, even when they have an Ices in their region. And even if they kill Nana, they can't kill Popo, so I live to 160 with Sopo's terrible recovery, and it doesn't make sense, and then they still lose. The only thing that makes me angrier than camping is if someone camps me and they lose. Because you wasted my time and you didn't even win. That's the worst thing. If you'd got something out of it, I wouldn't be so mad. But I got the W anyhow. You might as well have learned how to fight me head to head. Because it's not like they're that great in the close quarters. Almost every character can short hop over their jab, down smash, and grab.
I'm not going to lie. That whole sales pitch you just gave makes ice climbers sound pretty awesome. Why aren't they?
Well, because they suck at close quarters, funnily enough. Their down smash is great. Most people mess up tech skill because they're crashing into two characters. But it's the same thing that Foxes, Falcos, and Falcons all discovered about Fountain of Dreams. This level is terrible for you when you're terrible at it, but then you realize that if you're just not afraid of it and you learn it, you have tons of opportunities there. So ice climbers, they can't reach above and in front of them very easily. That's their biggest weakness. So their forehead height is your money zone. That's where you get in and you never leave it, and you keep pestering them. And you can't be afraid. You have to respect their grab, but you can't be afraid of it, or else you're going to run. And then if you jump over them, their up air is amazing. That's one of their best zones of control. So people try and camp you and just go to the one place you're probably strongest. It's like, yeah, you can run from me, fine, it'll take a minute, but at the end of that, you have more damage. And my Nana's still alive. And if I'm ahead, then I just start going blizzard, 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 and you're like, wait, I have to approach? This game sucks. So...
And then you get wobbled.
And yeah, and the grab range on top of that is not good. It's good because it's combined with desyncing. Their jab grab is good because you have two little jabs tapping people. They've got lots of ways to make it workable, but at the end of the day, it isn't good. And you have to know that and exploit it. People don't. They keep running. They eventually get grabbed. They complain on Facebook. The cycle repeats.
The chat is very interested to have you talk about Mewtwo King and his ledge camping against you.
I was super salty. Not about the ledge camping, actually. That wasn't what got me. I think what got me the most is I was under the impression at the time that he had been complaining about wobbling. And this struck me as interesting because this is the guy who will chain grab your Bowser on FD with Sheik in friendlies over and over and over and over again. And I mean, you know, one answer is don't play Bowser. Another answer is don't victim blame, okay, Mewtwo King? But like, he plays to win 100% of the time. He's always playing to win. He will find the most abusable strategy and use it against you and use it against you and make you want to quit. That's his MO. So when I believed he was complaining about wobbling and that he thought it was unfair or whatever, I'm like, you only do unfair things. You immediately hunt for the most unfair thing in the game so you can keep winning. And that's fine. That's great. That's competition. You find good strategies and you use them. And you say, if you can't beat this, you don't deserve to beat me. And that's what he does. That's a competitor's attitude. I respect that. But I don't like it if someone selectively complains and says, my BS is good and skillful and fair, and your BS is BS. I don't like that.
Seems like a reasonable complaint.
Because I was under that impression, I was really mad at him, because he's timed me out as Peach. He does his ledge camping, and people are like, you're only doing it because he's only doing it because you're wobbling. It's like, no! He's doing it because he's Mewtwo King! That's what he does whenever he's worried about losing. He camps the ledge against everyone. So, even when he's behind, and you're just like, what? Jason, he's over there. Oh, he waits, and he wins. He wins a lot. So I was pretty mad about that. And then later, like, he just straight up came up and said, I wasn't complaining about wobbling. I felt like I wanted to play for the crowd, and then it ended up costing me, and I was really frustrated. I was like, oh, okay. Then we played friendlies.
Oh, Jason.
That's pretty much the end of the beef, I guess.
Shortest-lived Twitter beef or
yeah.
Smash beef in history.
If I remember correctly, Jason will be here for South by Southwest. Jason, if you're watching this, please Please stop by.
Come into our teal studio.
Yes, come into the Teal studio and
studio.
chat.
By the way, I should mention that we are inhaling paint fumes the entire time that we're doing this show. This paint job literally went up this morning.
Long with that, guys.
What's
they
that?
could have left. They chose not to. That tells you what you need to know.
We got asked earlier. They're like, "What time is the show?" And 6.
And I said carrot, and then I stepped out of the room and regained my speaking skills. Moving on to our next question, Shelly Bean's got one for you. Shelly Bean wants to know, in regards to your most recent blog post about the long-term problems of relying on wobbling, would you suggest that mid-level Icy players should also strive to improve the other elements of their game as early as possible?
Well, you know, when you write the question out like that, it's like, yes, you should strive to improve the other elements of your game all the time. Because I bet you can only get so good at wobbling, you know?
Yeah.
And then after that point, I think it's fine to learn it early. You should learn it early. You should learn its limits. You should learn where it works, where it doesn't. You should never mess it up. I messed it up. It cost me sets. Everyone actually messes it up, which is funny considering how dead simple it is. It's still got weird things about it that can go wrong. But fundamentals, foundation. I made that post, and I've made my shift towards a less wobbly playstyle precisely because I developed so many bad habits, precisely because I over-relied on my grab game and big punishes. It was very bad for my development as a player. I am still working off lots of bad habits and thought processes that arise from it. I'm not telling people this so that they're cooler. I'm telling people this so that they win. You need to get good at the game because you see an ice climber player wobbly, 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 wobble their way through pools, and then they fight someone with icy experience, and they get obliterated, and they look like complete chumps, and they turn into like a really hard Mega Man boss, where... Yeah, when you can't beat him, you just lose, and it seems unfair. Then you see a speedrunner eviscerate it, and the Mega Man boss can never beat him because it can never change.
Mm-hmm.
Don't develop a Mega Man boss playstyle. Get your fundamentals. Get your wobbling down. It's really good. I'm not going to stop entirely, but get your fundamentals. You needs them. You needs them bad.
You needs the skills. I like that. And it seems pretty elementary on the surface, doesn't it? Like, well... if I only master one skill, is that bad? Should I be better? Like, when you sort of like break it all down, but I guess wobbling is such a potent part of Icy's arsenal that it's not such a crazy question to ask.
Well, it's always fair to ask what skills are actually core to my gameplay. Mm-hmm. Because if you waste time on skills that ultimately don't serve you, then you have wasted your time. I mean, you learn something. Learning's cool. It can be fun. But if you want to win, you want to learn things that will conduct victory. Mm-hmm. So you want to say, hey, what skills are core? And for an Ice Climber Punish game, wobbling is about as core as it gets. It's right up there with Wave Dash, Down Smash, and complaining about Peach. It's basically part of being an Ice Climbers. So there's nothing wrong with saying, this is really important. What other wacky stuff should I avoid learning and wasting my time on? But you should just keep getting better. That's the answer. Like, that's my philosophy. Keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better.
Good advice for us all.
It seems like every character in Melee kind of has that like one skill though, right? Like foxes usually have like the back air, like where you go back and you kick and you do a back air with a fox. And then like Falcos always have the shine, and you don't always have to shine to be successful with Falco. And then like Jigglypuffs always have rest, and like it just seems like for a basic player, each character has that one thing that's like you see a pro player do it, and you're like, oh well, maybe that will work, and it does work against lower tier people. But then, as you said, you get against someone that understands it.
That's actually
kind of get dumped on.
I was actually going to draw a parallel between Ice Climbers and Jigglypuff in that like the rest is such a significant part of Jigglypuff's arsenal, and we've seen that. I think the real uptick in Juan's results, for those who don't know, I guess it's Hungrybox. For those who haven't seen it, Hungrybox would always get to a point in his sets where rest was taken off the table and suddenly he struggled. But he's developed this really strong neutral game. So now even when the rest is off the table, he still has a fighting chance, and I think that puts him in a lot of sets.
Or when people can deal with the back air camping, he has an aggressive play style that complements it. People don't believe you if you say the word aggressive and Hungrybox in the same sentence, but it is true. He's got cross-ups. He has a lot of tomahawk setups that work reliably because he conditions the opponent. He has a way to back up those other parts of his game plan. And so let's say somebody's really good at escaping grabs and they have a circle camping strategy against your ices. How good's your up airing? Is your up airing good? No? Congratulations. Welcome to loser's bracket. Because if you're just off that day, if your wobbling's a little off, for some reason, this happens all the time with skills, athletes of all kinds of levels, in all kinds of endeavors, randomly, something they're normally really good at just bails on them. It just ditches them. And they're like, I can't do it. I don't understand. I've been doing this for 60 billion years and I can't do it now. Why? It's like, if that's the only thing you can do, you are SOL. You have nothing else. If you are great at all this other stuff, then you've got coverage. That's why I tell people you have to be a good Sopo to be a good ice climbers.
It's like a good shooting guard in the NBA whose shot like sort of leaves him for a game, right? If he can drive to the hoop and he can lay it up, if he's got that dribble drive game, if he can cut or if he can even get the assist, like that's the game is still winnable, right? Even though he can't shoot.
Yeah, and even if it's not nearly as refined as the other parts, as long as it's enough to be a threat, especially if you're talking a team-based game, it's like, let's look at MOBAs. If someone's a specialist with one character and you ban it, you have to at least be decent enough with other characters, champions, whatever, to be a threat on a team, because people will ban you out. And it's not even enough to have 4, because, okay, they ban your 3 and pick your 1.
Yeah.
You're still screwed. You have to be solid at the core. You cannot just be a gimmick at high levels.
I feel like that we refer to that as something to do with a tiny horse, if I remember correctly in the MOBA terminology. Something about some kind of trick. Pony?
Oh, I see. I'm like, beating a dead horse? Moving on to our next. See, the problem, Robert, is that you're so articulate with all your answers that we can only get to like 6 questions in an episode. So thanks a lot.
Articulate or long-winded? Chat, you decide. And don't decide, because I make a habit not to listen to Twitch chat too much, unless I'm streaming.
If you're articulate, it's not long-winded. It's just informed. That's the difference. Moving on to our next question. Kivo125 wants to know, in your entire Smash career, which set has been your favorite to be a part of, and which has been your favorite to commentate?
It's actually, that's tough. I've had a lot of really fun ones, a lot of really good sets that I liked. To commentate, probably one of my favorites was Axe vs. Mewtwo King, winner's semis at MLG New Orleans, because Axe won. It was like a super tight set, and he clutched it out, and it was a pleasure to commentate it because I also know a lot about Pikachu, so I like to feel that the average person's knowledge pool for Pikachu grew 3 sizes that day. I like to think that I helped. So it was really cool to see my friend win such a close battle, and the set was very high level and an interesting matchup, so that was pretty tremendous. I know they didn't ask, but to watch probably Apex 2015 Grand Finals.
Oof. I remember that vividly, yeah.
Yep, EMD Armada. That was crazy.
We may or may not be getting a picture on one of these walls of a PPMD trophy.
Is that we?
Really?
Did we settle on that?
We settled on that picture.
Good. There's been a lot of debate about what art will adorn our new studio with so many people rooting for different esports. We're lobbying. Jacob here was lobbying hard for Smash.
Yes.
Going to bat for you folks.
Okay. And to play. I got it. Funnily enough, it's not actually any of my EVO 2013 sets, because like they were great, but I think one of my favorite ones was right after my unretirement of sorts, playing Mewtwo King at a tourney, Infinity and Beyond. I lost, but the Grand Finals set was extremely intense, and I hadn't felt like that competitive focus in a long, long time for such an extended period of time. It was a really good series of sets, and it got me back into really caring about the game. So I would say that one.
That's awesome. So despite it being a loss, you just felt that energy again. That's really cool.
Yeah, I 3-1'd him, and then he 3-1'd me right back.
Oh.
And since he was in winner's side, he took the tourney. But ultimately, like, that whole grand finals chunk was actually, it was really good.
I need a t-shirt or a tattoo that says "I live for bracket resets." They are my absolute favorite thing in games, is when a bracket gets reset. That's so cool. I'm gonna try to get through as many questions as we can before we close up shop.
We got 20 minutes. We're good.
Well, I mean, not with Captain Philosopher on the mic. I mean, we could ask him. So, what is your favorite?
That's Captain King Philosopher to you.
What's your favorite fast food chain?
What's your favorite? Oh God, if we had a Hangry Box in here, that would be a lot.
Bueno, dude.
What's that?
Taco Bueno.
Taco Bueno?
You've got to love it. With a name like Taco Bueno, you know you are getting the best crappy tacos in Texas.
Dude, I don't know. Torchy's, though.
Well, yeah, Torchy's is good tacos. Taco Bueno is the best crappy taco.
Okay.
Have you been to Austin?
Yes, he was here from Forte.
Oh,
we hung
nice.
out.
Did you have Taco Deli?
Taco Deli.
Taco Deli is incredible.
Okay, well,
anybody who comes to town,
I'll be down there.
Yeah, please.
When you're here for South by, we'll get Taco Deli.
We will take you to Taco Deli. We'll get the breakfast taco. It is godlike. What did I say about not wasting time? Moving on to our next question.
Are you suggesting tacos are a waste of time? I think you've been sniffing a few too many paint fumes, bro.
This is the part of the show we talked about beforehand where I just turn into, I just say banana for half an hour straight.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes the brain just leaves you and all you're left with is paint.
Wobbles 2016. Lol CEO, frequent commenter on the show. Thank you so much for another question. Lol CEO wants to know, it might sound a little grim, but are you tired of being a top player? Don't get me wrong, your commentary is great, but many people love to see you play the game. Do you see commentary as a long-term occupation/goal?
As you could have guessed by now, I love talking. A lot. I love talking a lot, and I love it a lot to do so. So yes, I would love to make commentary a long-term occupational goal. Tournaments are very stressful to enter. You stand around, you don't do anything fun because you don't want to put yourself in a bad condition. You get super ramped up, you start going, who am I playing next? Okay, I need a game plan. You start getting really into it and intense, and there's just this massive flood of adrenaline all weekend long. It just lasts the whole time. It does not fully rest. If you can, you are a better man than I, because I am just on edge the whole weekend, and I'm naturally extremely competitive, so I can't resist continuing to enter. It's a problem. I need my fix. But commentary is probably a lot better for my heart. It is a lot of fun. I get to spend more time meeting people, just sitting and talking to them rather than just practicing, warming up, worrying about my condition. I can have a beer during the weekend without worrying about it ruining me. I find it way more relaxing. So I would love to be full-time commentator with like one cameo a year.
There you go. That sounds like a pretty good arrangement. You get to be behind the mic, you get to do something you love, and then occasionally you get, like you said, your fix of bringing the ices back. And I doubt there's a lot of people that would root against an OG player like you coming back for, and who knows, maybe you do really well at that tournament, and it's like you didn't win, but you get to sort of hang that on your memory board, if you will.
Dude, Wobbles hasn't played in 2 years, and he almost got top 8. Oh my god!
Exactly.
Oh my god! And then the next time they see me in a Blazer, they're like, "Enter again." I go, "Maybe next year," and it's all part of the publicity stunt, man. It's all calculated. It's me, Mr. Calculation.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Because at this point, Leffen is no longer oh my god, is he gonna beat another god? It's like Leffen got third. Oh Jesus, he's slipping. And if you go into one tournament a year, you're like, I did get 16th at Evo, not bad, right? And people are like, right, that was great for one tournament a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, you are if I remember right, you're the only top tier player that's actually a committed commentator, right?
Yeah,
I know. I know
guess.
Toph is good, but he's not like an OG like way back in the day.
Well, I think we're using the word good pretty.
No, he's a top 100 player in Melee. Let's be fair. Like,
okay,
but,
Toph, if
but
you
Rob
want to
is
come
the
on
only
the show,
only OG. So.
that's true. That's true. And once again, Toph, if you want to come on the show and defend your comments or your play, be my guest.
There you go. You guys just slotted another AMA. You were very clever. You were very smart man.
That's my goal. Is I just piss off a bunch of people and incite them to come on the show. Moving on to our next question. X-Derpalicious wants to know, do you regret fighting to make wobbling legal? If the whole community still goes up in arms over wobbling and its legality, is it just worth banning, even if it might not be the right thing to do from a competitive standpoint?
I like competition because of the lessons that it teaches you. And one of the biggest lessons of life is you actually can't just yell at things until they go away. You have to learn to deal with problems. Wobbling is a big problem for a lot of people.
You must be new to the internet.
Yeah, I guess you can block people on Twitter and things like that, but it doesn't change you. It doesn't teach you skills. All it teaches you is how to yell and click. It's really important in a competitive endeavor that you go, okay, can I deal with this? That you have an attitude of, if it can be dealt with, I will learn to deal with it. Because there's this assumption that the other guy is going to throw everything they have at you until they have won or you have, and they will not play fair. They won't cheat, ideally, but they will abuse every trick and technique that's available to them. And if you can just wave away the things you hate, even if they're boring or whatever, then you aren't learning, and that's a big problem, especially when you have enough evidence to go, yeah, it bodies people in pools, but it actually doesn't change the outcome of like the end game bracket. Better players deal with it. So if it's broken, ban it. If it's not, don't ban it.
I mean,
the rule.
And is it fair to say that there aren't a ton of things in Melee that are just so broken that you can't deal with them by addressing them directly? I mean, it's not like Mewtwo has like a built-in home run bat that homes in on you or something like. There's nothing completely and utterly unavoidable and game breaking in Melee at this point, is there?
Yeah, for the most part. I wrote an article for Team Liquid a while ago, which was, why does everybody use Fox? But then I mentioned the most funny thing about how many players use Fox is, until Mango was the best, using mostly Fox, the best players didn't use Fox. There were Foxes everywhere, but the best players were the ones who made a living off killing Foxes. Now we have Leffen with Fox, Armada, who's half Fox. We have Mango with Fox. They're up there now because the character's finally caught up, so to speak. But even for the longest time, he was super ridiculous. We all knew he was ridiculous, and he wasn't winning. So you've got to ask yourself, at what point do I just need to get good? I know that's the troll response to any complaint about game design or whatever, but if the skill can be acquired to beat the obstacle, attain the skill. Do not call up Sakurai and say get rid of the obstacle or make it smaller or make it easier to jump over. Like, you get better. And the nice thing is that if it eventually does get banned, your skill doesn't go away. Mm-hmm. Everything you learned to deal with that broken thing is still inside of you and part of your game plan, and you can use it on other broken things. Mm-hmm. You learn how to outspace an ice climber? Great. You are now better at spacing and outthinking somebody who uses two characters at once. You'll be better in 2v1 so you can get away from grab rest, and you'll be able to slaughter those same ice climber players when they don't have wobbling on the table. Mm-hmm. You lose nothing by getting better. So make that your mission rather than banning things initially.
I mean, if you're climbing Mount Everest and you get halfway up, you don't call the Chinese government and ask them to lower Mount Everest. You just keep climbing, and ultimately that's how people become great climbers. I mean, it makes a ton of sense because ultimately everything that you learn takes you one step closer to being a great player. And I have to imagine, not being a competitive smasher or anything, I have to imagine that once you do figure out how to beat that broken thing, that's probably a pretty good feeling, is it not?
Yeah. When you triumph over it, when you find a strategy that reliably beats it, Like, there's a reason you look at Mewtwo King, and he doesn't just spam counter at the edge as Marth anymore. Foxes and Falcos were dying to that for years, and now they have mastery over a combination of angles, teching, and threatened forward Bs that they have recovery, even against this thing that was just killing them 100% of the time. He had this formula for slaying you if you went off the level, and it seemed really broken and unstoppable. And nowadays, it's almost cut and paste to deal with it. It's just like, okay, just get here at this ambiguous angle, use the super tight one, punish him when he counters. Cool, okay, take that, M2K. Or whenever Marth is trying to copy M2K and doing it a little worse than he does. You learn to deal with it, and the skill never leaves you.
Speaking of Mewtwo King, our next question, and to be honest, this answer might take up the rest of our time here tonight, but Lycanth wants to know, what do you think about every top 6 player as a person and as a player?
They're just asking me to start something.
They are. People, I don't know if you've
Reddit inciting something.
Visited
Never.
esports, yeah, but
they want me to say something mean.
They absolutely do.
Okay, so we'll do as a player first. Armada is flippin' ridiculous. I am impressed at his ability to flowchart out such a complicated game, to map out all the things he needs to do, and then just go into a zone where he reacts perfectly to everything, and he obliterates you. And he executes consistently at a high level against opponents who are pushing him to his limit. That's unbelievable. And he did it for a long time with Peach, and there were all these Peaches who thought, we can't win with this character. And he was like, okay, so there are Peaches who are good at killing Marth, Peaches who are good at killing Sheik, and Peaches who are good at killing Fox. I'm just going to get good at all 3, and then I'll win. And he did it. So that's insane. And then when somebody says, hey, Fox is the best character in the game, then they put their money with their mouth, where their mouth is, and then they continue to win, that's pretty admirable. So, well done. Enjoy your trophies. Leffen. You don't ever see Leffen do anything wacky and novel. And that's really impressive when you consider that all he does is beat you with things you've seen before. He's not gimmicking you. He never gimmicks people. He just beats you at the core of the game. And he does it pretty reliably. He's the only single Fox main who's winning like that. And that itself is also really terrifying and shows how devoted he is to cultivating those fundamentals so that those never leave him. So that's pretty good. H-Box got a lot of undeserved hate because, again, if it's winning, keep doing it. You should always try and keep in mind, like, backup strat. Oh, what if this does stop winning? Should I keep getting good at other stuff besides back air? And when he did start losing, he got better at stuff besides back air, and it paid off for him. So he's very good at making a character who loses the Fox matchup win against every other Fox he plays. More than that, actually. Mango. He has a problem that I have, which is once he's done something a couple times, he doesn't want to keep doing it. So he wants to keep testing new stuff. He wants to keep doing new wacky setups. In a lot of ways, he's the very opposite of Leffen. Leffen will never beat you with something you haven't seen before because he's so much more devoted to cultivating fundamentals. Mango will do 5 things in a set you've never seen before. and you watch his stream every day. You don't know how he does it, but he does it. He wants to keep exploring the game. It's very fun for him. That costs him, though, because it costs him consistency. He doesn't drill and flowchart as hard as, say, Mango as Armada and, say, Mewtwo King. He doesn't drill and flowchart like they do, so he loses out in consistency. And that cost him a lot as punishes got bigger and bigger and bigger on the part of his competition. So I'm not sure who comes next in order, PPMD or Mewtwo King, but we'll go with PPMD. You see him so little now, it's really depressing. You just want to watch him play. The way he moves is like everything he does seems like a good decision. You very rarely watch him make a choice and go, I don't know about that, Kevin. Just afterwards you go, that was correct. The guy writes the textbook. That's why his play is textbook. That's how good he is. Then Mewtwo King, he is Mr. Flowchart. He will look for a way to secure victory 100% of the time. I don't think he realizes that if he did find a way to win 100% of the time, then the game would die. I don't think he understands that that's like the consequence. He's like a scientist who just develops a death ray because the science is cool, then someone uses it and he goes, wait, what? No. But at the same time, he will do what it takes to win, and that's, like I said, it's admirable. That's competition. You make people get on your level, or they stay beneath it. So, as people, Armada is very friendly, very focused, super competitive. I'm impressed that he's willing to keep drilling and practicing, even when he already beats everybody. He is pretty humble. If you look at his Facebook and his Twitter, sometimes he goes on long complaining rants. It's like, come on, man, just have a beer. Europe has tons of great beers. Go sample some of them.
Get a
He's like,
Duvel.
no, I have to win this tournament. And you're just like, okay, fine. Just go do that. But by and large, he's a super chill dude. Leffen, I don't know him personally. His Twitter persona's hilarious. Just calling out anything and everything.
He's
like,
the
he would
Smash
challenge,
heel, right?
if he didn't like the color of the paint on the wall, he'd challenge it to a $1,000 money match, and he would win. He's really good at doing that. Speaking of paint.
Honestly, like you can't ask for TSM to sponsor a better player at this point.
It's
Like,
very TSM-esque,
I think that's
yeah.
straight up their bag,
Yep.
Those interesting, controversial players. But I don't know him super well. Apparently, he was a giant jerk back in the past. .zip. And nowadays, he's a lot nicer in person, whether it's, a persona so he doesn't get kicked out again, or it's honestly a change of heart, or maybe a bit of column A and a bit of column B. I don't know. He's always been nice to me, which I always found weird. I figured if there was a fraud in the community, he'd yell at it, it'd be me, but he never did, so that's funny. H-Box, personality-wise, I know he is ultra competitive. He's a bit like Mewtwo King. He wants to be the guy winning all the time. And so he's very dedicated to that, and he puts a lot on himself to win, so that any time a set is close, he pops off. And that's usually a sign that he really, really cares about his skill. He's probably very perfectionist, very detail-oriented. Again, I haven't really hung out with him a whole lot. But that's kind of how he seems to me, as a very, very focused on doing things correctly, and can be very hard on himself, and extremely emotional when that gets, tangled up. So that's my psychoanalysis of H-Box. Mango, he's so goofy. He's such a goofy, but I don't know, he seems really closed off at tournaments a lot of the time. And again, not to psychoanalyze people, but he was super happy-go-lucky when he first started out in the Smash community. And I thought it was really cool that someone like that happy to be playing the game was getting so good, really nice positive attitude. And he became more closed off, and I think it was just a lot of it had to do with the pressure of being the best and getting there so quickly. Was people took it as a you can do no wrong kind of thing. And I think that frustrated him a lot. He became kind of a different person, more closed off. And nowadays he's more back to his old self, I think, where he's just more likely to go, "What's up, man?" when he sees you at a tournament. Just is a lot happier. But, that competitive drive is still inside of him. TPMD, he's always nervous around me. I don't know why. I think I weird him out. I don't think he likes my jokes.
It's your big, intimidating demeanor. You're just a really aggressive guy.
But I'm short. Am I like a bulldog? Am I like a little chihuahua that just commentates at you and you want me to go away? I don't understand. He seems like a nice and intelligent person, but then when he talks to me, he's like, oh, Wobbles, you, and then he goes somewhere else. I'm like, what did I do?
Hey, it's Wobbles. I'm going to go get a hot dog.
It was a short doctor appointment, so, that stinks. Speaking of doctors, Mewtwo King, go to the doctor. Mewtwo King is something else. He's something else, man.
Yeah.
can you confirm he is mean?
Is he mean? He's not mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is everyone knows that Mewtwo King has Asperger's, or he's on the autism spectrum, and one of the biggest difficulties that people on the spectrum have is connecting with people. They struggle to connect with other human beings. Mm-hmm. It's a thing that they have as tiny children and all the way up, and they have to really consciously learn the skills to do it. The Smash scene taught him a lot of those skills. So if you knew Mewtwo King at the very start of his Smash career and you know him now, is actually, it's night and day. He has worked a lot on that. But there are a lot of places where he's still kind of blind to you as another person sitting down next to him. So he will chain grab you on FD and be like, "Why aren't you having fun?" Because I'm having fun. because he doesn't really see it that way. And he wants to win 100% of the time, and I think that's because sometimes he doesn't respect that the other person is trying to beat him and trying to adapt to him and surprise him. And it can be frustrating that he sees the world so black and white, especially when you're trying to talk to him about something. He's like, "But I'm just bad at the matchup." And you go, "Well, you could do this, and I tried to call you out on this." "Yeah, but I just didn't react." If you could just react, the game would be dead. I have to be able to play you, and we have to keep growing and learning, and it can be really tough to communicate with him, which is a shame because at his core, he just reflexively does do nice things for people when he thinks to do it. So it's interesting. Like, I think he is genuinely a nice person, and he needs to commit himself more towards connecting with other people, even if it's difficult for him. So that's my rundown.
Well, that was thorough, and I would say that I'm sorry that that's all the time we have, but I think it's actually, I mean, the answers were so thorough and complete. I feel like I just had a delicious hamburger, and I'm nicely sated, and I'm ready for a fulfilling nap. Okay, let me rephrase that. You don't put me to sleep. That came out wrong.
You're gonna breathe fumes and you're gonna die. Get off.
You can only.
I need to get out of the paint room before I go to sleep.
You can only say that for Hungry Box. He's the only one that can put you to sleep.
I see what you did there. You nailed it. Robert, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Any other closing thoughts before we close up shop for the night?
Well, thank you for having me again. It's always fun to talk repeatedly where people are forced to listen.
You know we chose to listen, right?
I was talking about Twitch chat.
No.
I mean, they Steve and being here, so they're kind of stuck. That's pretty good. No, it really was a lot of fun. I get asked these certain questions actually pretty frequently, especially when I go to tourneys, and it's nice to be able to talk to so many people at once. So I'm glad I got the chance to do that. It's also nice getting asked questions because it makes you think of answers.
Sure.
And it's just fun. I like talking. I like explaining things. I like not stopping.
Not stopping, never stopping. Well, we look forward to hearing more of you talking in the future in your commentary and also watching your matches. Robert, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It was a lot of fun. Guys, if you liked the show, if you enjoyed it so much that you want to see more of it, hit that follow button down below. Or if you're feeling really generous, hit that subscribe button down below. $4.99 a month, you get access to the .fire and .fan emotes. We're the harbingers of chaos. If RTD could actually spam those in chat, that would be great, so you could see what you're missing. If you want to catch the VOD for this after the fact, over on youtube.com/daily.esports. Check us out on Facebook for more esports coverage at daily.esports, and then over on Twitter at .esports. Guys, it has been an absolute treat having Wobbles on the show this evening. We hope you enjoyed yourself too. I have been Ian Double John Barker. This has been Jacob Braille Wolf, and we will see you next time.